So our kids have been sleeping on the floor for 2 years. They've had lice, they've had fleas, the animals have had rashes that couldn't be treated, and they've had moldy clothes. And you're telling me that this is a safe and clean environment for those kids. You're telling me, those of us that are speaking out saying, this situation's not right, that we're in the wrong.
So I wanted to follow up on the resilient Jenkins story, the family of 6 about to be 7 living in a 1-bedroom apartment, because there are updates. Now, some of you may be asking why I decided to focus on this story, and I have many answers. But the more people look into the parents of this family, the more infuriated they become. But also because they did a live yesterday that had some major red flags that continued setting the internet off. Now, I got a lot of comments on my first video about these people, commenting about how a lot of people in different countries live with less. And some noted that, we just love to pile onto poor people. And I will agree with the fact that in America, they definitely like to make an example. However, the Jenkins are not being picked on because they are poor. If anything, that's the only reason they're being given any grace by some people. If they had money, they would still be neglecting these kids. Their lack of money has nothing to do with it. Everything that's wrong with this situation is about the distribution of resources that they already do have. People who live with less in other countries aren't bad parents because they're poor, because being poor and living in squalor are not synonymous. A lot of people with less still take pride in their homes, and you best believe the second they have anything, the majority of those parents are improving the lives of their children first, as well as putting their safety and well-being at the forefront. The Jenkins are not those people. Some other comments I received were asking, what's the point of posting about this if we're not going to donate and help them? First off, I'd be very disappointed in any of my followers for donating to them because I think we know better, but also because this woman is exploiting her children in squalor for views. And so it can get them enough money so that they can keep having more babies. The reason why I'm posting about this is because with enough heat, we can get these people to take their children's faces off the internet. We've done it before. Because believe it or not, the internet actually isn't that forever. Once this controversy dials down and the kids are a little bit older, they can move on with their lives. However, if the mom is allowed to continue doing what she's doing, she will continue neglecting them in full public view for profit. They don't want to get jobs. That's something that was very apparent on the live that they just did last night that I'm going to touch on in a bit. And their entire plan has been to blow up on social media. Doing what? By exploiting her kids. And you know how we know that? Because she's posted numerous times about how she's disappointed that her kids haven't gone viral. Viral for what exactly? And she already has another teenager that doesn't live with her. And her husband told her that if she can fix their financial situation, that he could put more babies in her. She wants 3 more, by the way. So you don't want to work. You don't have enough resources to even get your kids shoes or beds. And yet you want to have more kids. But it's okay because you and your husband have a nice bedroom in the back with a flat screen and a PS5, which she upgraded from a PS4, along with a private area with mood lighting. But your kids are sleeping on a foam topper next to the living room door, and the kids have had lice and fleas over the last few months, along with moldy clothes. But your man has a PS5. But we can't afford beds for the kids or even try to thrift them. Guys, this is what it looks like when a pick-me is a mother, because the man is prioritized at every angle. And I'm going to get more into that. If this woman were any other color, those kids would have been gone like yesterday. The landlord probably wouldn't have even let them live like that. But I also want somebody who's lived like this to kind of speak on the situation and why it's so important for us to keep turning up the heat.
100% someone needs to call CPS on that family. My family was in a similar predicament growing up, and we didn't have beds either. We were sleeping on piles of blankets, and it took someone calling CPS on us to get our parents to shell out $20 to get us air mattresses. So those kids will finally have somewhere to sleep, because sleeping on the floor, especially on blankets, is not comfortable. Sleeping was so fucked up. My parents got the shittiest air mattresses they could find, and then once they started getting holes in them and tears and started deflating easily, they just never got us new ones. They never got us a new pump either. So you're just eventually laying on flat air mattresses. And I think that should tell you how much my parents care about us.
And just to be clear, I'm not encouraging people to call CPS on these people. CPS has already been called by hundreds and hundreds of people, and they've already been aware of this family, apparently. And we're not trying to get these kids taken away from these parents. The main point is to hold their feet to the fire and get them to provide the fundamentals for these kids, but also to make sure that they are monitored to continue doing so. And to get these kids' faces off the internet. Once these kids are in junior high or a little bit older, this is going to make their lives miserable. I can't imagine the shame that they'd have to go through in school, knowing that everybody knew the living conditions that they grew up in. But I'm sure that their peers already know a little bit because the mom was saying that they had had a lice and flea outbreak for months, which also brings up the question, were the kids in school that entire time, or did she keep them out of school for months in order to deal with that? But their peers could also know because she was also talking about how all of their clothes were moldy. And they could be improving their children's situation pretty easily because she could get vouchers for daycare, now that her youngest was getting ready to go to school. But she didn't want to do that. Their entire plan is to continue exploiting their children for financial gain. Just a reminder that these two met during COVID in 2020, and the husband was already living in the one-bedroom apartment with his son, who is somebody that I feel so bad for in this instance, because he then had this woman and her two daughters move in. And instead of trying to work to upgrade the apartment and the living situation, the parents then actively try to have another child. So now all the children are sleeping on the floor in the living room and the kitchen with another baby on the way. And I think it's fitting that the toddler is getting ready to go to school because it's clear to me that these parents do not view their children as human beings. To me, this mom reads of loving to be pregnant, loving the baby phase, because it's probably one of the only times that she ever gets any attention. And that phase kind of lasts, as the baby is born and is a cute little infant that can't really speak for itself. And women like her like having something that depends on them to live. Like, it doesn't stop with the kids. Notice that they have two cats, one of them, which is a kitten, which they gained since they moved into that apartment. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the Amazon wish list that the internet has now sold out for them, which, just so that you know, didn't even have the bunk beds on them. It was mostly junk. A few things for the kids, but also a lot of stuff for her husband.
Some of the items on there are just a real head scratcher, so let's get into it. How come we need a $40 car wash kit? $60 air duster? $80 pillows? This is a set of 6, so maybe each person at least could get one. Tons of car cleaning stuff. And granted, there's lots of stuff on here that is normal stuff, like towels and sheets and that sort of, those sorts of things. Why do we need a $20 men's hairbrush? This sent me a $30 ring light, and somebody bought it for him. Somebody also bought them a door security bar. Somebody also bought them bunk beds. And I just want to point out that these bunk beds are $189. If you add up just the car care items, the ring light and the hairbrush, it's the same price as those beds. And to me, this just highlights what the real conversation is, that the priorities just seem to be all over the place.
If you can't afford safe and secure housing for your 4 kids going on 5 kids, nobody gives a shit about your TikTok lighting. You don't need a ring light. You don't need a $30 ring light. Put that $30 towards something else. Number 2 is a pack of 2 pillows for $80. And you know good and well, those 2 pillows are not going to her kids. They're going to her and her husband. Okay, let's not prioritize your sleep because you already got the nice bedroom. You already have the king size bed. So nobody's worried about you. They're worried about your kids. Going off of that, sheets for her kids, a pack of 2 twins sheet sets for $20. Pack of 2 for $20. So $10 a set. So we're spending $40 for one pillow and $10 for one entire set of sheets for your kids, for you. No, you're about to piss me off. And then the last one is a $33 security bar to put under the front door. The only reason you need that is because your kids are the ones sleeping in the living room by the front door. If you and your husband were sleeping in the living room by your front door, you probably wouldn't need that. You probably put that $33 towards something else, like maybe a pair of shoes for your kid, or maybe a lice treatment since they have lice for months. Don't piss me off.
So yeah, as you can see, the more expensive items on their Amazon wish list are for her husband and the car detailing business that he wants to start instead of being a W-2 employee. Another item on there that wasn't mentioned in those videos was a keyboard duster, which was like $50 for his setup. Now, let's talk about the live. Last night, these two went on live to open up a lot of the stuff that they'd received from Amazon. And boy, that comment section was poppin'. But from the majority of what I saw, a lot of people were trying to help them and give helpful suggestions. And it was clear that they have a disdain for anyone suggesting that they do anything different than how they're doing it in their home. And the majority of the comments were to switch spaces with the children, which they ignored and were really annoyed by. The husband at one point said, "Well, I'm a black man. I'm used to getting the hate." Sir, we do not hate you because you are a black man. It is simply because you are making poor decisions for your family. He was also smoking on the live. And if you notice in a lot of her videos, you can see that there are blunts and all sorts of paraphernalia around their apartment that's super easy for the kids to have access to. And she also made videos and comments talking about how she smokes up to 6 months during her pregnancies. These are super crunchy Oregon people, and they're very against the norms. The mom scoffed at the idea of sending her children to daycare and said horrible things happen there. This is not a woman who's ever going to work. She's going to keep having babies and trying to profit off the internet. And like I said plenty of times in this video, they are very against traditional jobs. They think that W-2s are beneath them. Multiple job ideas were thrown out for the dad, and everything was met with a negative. basically saying that they don't pay enough and that he's not going to do any job unless it pays at least $30 an hour. Something that was also mentioned in the Reddit comments, because they have an official snark page, is that he doesn't want a W-2 because he has other kids and owes child support on them. One of the things that the wife always talks about in her videos is how hardworking the husband is and how he's always gone for business. But it doesn't seem like he actually is working all of these hours. Instead, he works some type of side job for a portion of the time under the table and then spends the rest of the time business planning. And the wife thinks that this makes him super hardworking and that she's a stay-at-home mom supporting their family dreams. Another weird thing that popped up is the fetishization that she has for her husband's genetics, because when people asked about her kids being sick, she kind of pointed to superior genetics being why they didn't need to go to the doctor as much, which is weird. And I say all of this because I think it was just important to have a more nuanced conversation about why the internet is in an uproar about these people. There are several laws that are currently being written in states to actively protect children against situations like this and protect them from this type of online exploitation.
That woman who has that family of 6 going on 7 living in a one-bedroom apartment, she has to be white. She couldn't be any other race. The thing is, at first I was saying, oh no, she couldn't be black. But then when I thought about it, it's like she couldn't be Hispanic, black, Middle Eastern, Indian, Asian, Caribbean. She couldn't be African. That's not going to happen. First of all, if an African parent, let's just look at this. If an African parent just wanted to have a bedroom so bad, they would be in that bedroom with the kids, but the kids will be in the bedroom. We're not about to have my kids in the kitchen. This was a Hispanic family. Definitely not putting no kids by the door. The people who are going to be by the door is going to be the parents who can defend themselves. First of all, with black people, we would have been hearing about this situation after the fact, after the parents have already been arrested for child neglect. If this was an Indian or Middle Eastern family, the race, oh my God, there will be so many news choppers. Oh my goodness, they will turn this into an immigration issue. It will be crazy. It will be crazy. But because she's white, we have to have sympathy for her. Hispanic people, they're not going to let this happen. They will pile up in a place, right? Abuela will be in there, cousins, everyone. Aunties and uncles, everyone will be in that house. But I guarantee you those babies will have a room. Are they sharing that room? Yeah, but those babies are in a room, enclosed, safe. And here's what makes it even further. The people that can defend themselves in the family, they're the ones sleeping by the door. Because then we're going to take it a step further. Not only do the kids have a room, but the women have a room. And the men sleep elsewhere. The men sleep in the front room. Men will pile up on that couch. The only man that is not sitting up on the couch is probably grandpa. But the babies going to have a bed. The women going to have a bed. And the elderly gonna have a bed. That's black people too. We put the person that we know for a fact can defend us the most closest to the door. And they facing the door. And 9 times out of 10, they don't even really sleep for real because they know if somebody comes through that door, it's on me. That's what we do. And I'm not saying that white people just leave their kids and go into the woods, but there is a difference. I can tell that there are a lot of people that get upset. Like there are white people in the comments of this video, and they're upset like, girl, I'm white, I ain't going for that. I'm white, I ain't going. And I completely understand. But there is a stereotypical difference in how white people raise their kids versus how the minorities raise their kids. Plus, there's just a difference in the fact that the way that she's being responded to. There are people reporting her page. Baby, if she was black, there would be people just calling law enforcement on her right now. She got her children by open windows. They have access to sharp objects. Cooking appliances. The front door is right there, literally by the front door. They have a 1-year-old practically laying by the front door. No, ain't no one. And the people ain't calling me, and they've been living like this for 3 years. That lets you know the sympathy that white women get versus the minority women. Because like this woman have been Hispanic. Oh my God, those kids would have been taken by now if it was a black or Hispanic woman. There will be no, understand her struggles or think about her situation. No, those kids would have been snatched up.
I might have fucked up a little bit in my life, but I've never been a shitty mom.